This morning.
I feel your love. I feel tired of life with a child. I never knew what the
Hey Toad.
Hi.
Maybe Toad wants some broccoli.
Yes, he does.
Toad wants some beetles and bugs and maybe some worms.
Struck outside the bar. Look at all the beaches. Do you celebrate? Can't appear inside of nowhere. It's already.
Okay, packing cows. We're adding extra fat to everything. Look at this, high fat mince.
Lady said, show the ferry to the end. I'm not getting let along.
Okay, food security. This is mince from one of the cows. And we've put all the fat back in because that's the way I like it. And some prime cuts as well. So we're going to start packing now, using that to get half kilo bags. Pack and pack, lots to do.
Everyone you met, who shook at the ivory mantle. As a poet I knew to be gentle. When you have a child, so begins the braiding. And in that braiding style, look at all the beaches. How do you celebrate? Can't appear inside of nowhere. Look at all the beaches. It's already dead. I know you have the dog. I'm not getting wet. Looks like a date is set. Show the ferry to the end. I'm not getting let along.
Alright, so we've got these crates. And we're coming back tomorrow to do these. We've also got bones we're going to chop down to make stocks. Very nice. We got beaten by time today. But that is a huge amount of meat for the next couple of years. Really nice little labelling system. Don't have all the words. Brisket now. Entrecot. Look at this. Grass fed, baby. Check out the spider web. It's a net suspended, focused and concentrated on the gaps between the boards where the breeze comes in. It's very cool. These vertical structures holding each net. Clever little design. Alright, bones for soup, bones for stock, bones for stew. Last of the meat. that we're packing here today. In this freezer we've got a lot of stock boiled down to concentrated jellies. This freezer's got a lot of liver cut up into nice sized pieces, and that's great for sneaking into the kids' food. Just mince that up and add it to mince to put in lasagna, burgers, stews, whatever. Organs is where it's at. Got cordials, srirachas, jams, chutneys. Lots of chicken hearts, chicken liver.
It's smoked chicken bone broth, canned smoked chicken, and this is chicken broth, all canned, shelf stable.
How long can that last in like the cellar or something?
It's good when it's cool because then the fat gets hard and it seals it even more. Of course, it's always nice to have it at a cool temperature, but it doesn't need to be. It will last like half a year. It will last even longer, but I think the quality goes down.
This is sheep tallow,
Sheep tallow.
and is that canned as well?
This is canned as well.
So if you don't can it, you just store it in the fridge.
Yeah, but actually if you get all the...
It's pure fat, so it's...
Yeah, if you evaporize all the water while the rendering process, it should be shelf stable because it's the bacteria that needs the water to grow.
This is Louisa, who's been here from Germany all summer and is super good at making all kinds of delicious things. Tell us a bit what you got here.
Here we have also bone broth, 30-hour cooked bone broth from beef, pork, feet and mutton bones.
Cooked for 30 hours, is that specific?
Yeah, it's like at least 24 hours, like between 24 48 hours. That's good to get all the nutrients out. Like first all the fat and all the gelatin comes out and the taste. And then the longer you cook it, the more minerals will come out of the bones.
So you're saying rule of thumb is absolutely minimum 24 hours?
I would say so, yeah.
And 48 hours for some of the minerals to
for
come
the
out.
minerals, and then you should never add salt in the water. That will stop the minerals from coming out. But also we add vinegar to get more minerals.
Acidity.
Yeah, acidity to just get more minerals out.
So you're doing, and it's quite important to either cut or crush the bones to expose the marrow.
Yeah, because you want the marrow, that's where all the nutrients and all the taste, of course, is in. Yeah.
Cool. So a little bit of vinegar, like a tablespoon or two.
I would use more. It's like, I've read a paper about, it was an Asian paper, where they said the higher acid is in the water, the more minerals come out. So actually you could add a lot of vinegar or
Just
something,
wouldn't taste so
but
nice.
then it doesn't taste anymore. So it's about finding a balance of putting...
So you're
a good
talking
amount-
like a big pot like that you're making all of these jars in one go sort of thing. How much vinegar would you add for that?
Maybe like 150 milliliter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that doesn't need to be precise, but more
No.
acidic means more
Yeah.
nutrients.
Yeah.
And you're using like apple cider vinegar, or is it better to use Etica, like stronger?
Then you probably wouldn't use so much if you use Etica, like the vinegar essence. But you could use apple cider vinegar. I prefer white wine vinegar, like a table vinegar, to have not so much different taste in it, just get the acid.
And what's this? We got passatas or tomato
This is,
sauce?
yeah, pasta sauce with onion, garlic and basil from the garden, also canned.
So that's safe against botulism or anything like that once it's canned and...
Yeah, like the botulism is with the tomato sauce, there's enough acid in it, then you don't have any botulium growing. So, but with these things, like because we don't pressure can them, like on 120 degrees, it's not safe for, not 100, it's like really, really rare to get the botulinum bacteria. So it's really rare, but if you have it, it could grow in here because it's just canned with 100 degrees because we don't have a pressure canner. So before using, I would always like boil it up. And
So
then
you
it's
cook
100.
rice in it or add it to stews, but it's
Yeah.
getting boiled anyway.
If you boil it again, I wouldn't eat it cold for this low risk, for this really small risk of botulinum. If we would have a pressure canner, 120 degrees, then this is no risk at all.
And so we've packed all the bones for making bone broth. We're going to make bone broth, but you're making tallow now, right?
Yeah.
And so this is all fat from the cow?
Yeah, this is nice grass-fed, grass-finished fat. And this is all the organ fat, the liver fat and from the inside. I think this is the best quality for tallow because it's the most nutrient, the organ fat, and it's nice and soft. It has the best taste.
And what's the basic process?
I'm gonna chop it down in small pieces now. You could also mince it maybe, or when it's frozen you could put it in a food processor if you have a really strong one to get it into small pieces. And then we
Kind of smaller the pieces the better, right?
Yeah, and it's just faster and yeah, it's not so. And then we put it in a pot, and then there's two different methods. You can use a wet method where you add water and salt, and this will get all the impurities out, and yeah, it's just a bit easier with the water because it won't burn, the fat won't get too hot. But I think we start with a little amount of fat, render it really slowly on low heat, and then just add more fat and don't add any water. It's just then we don't have to evaporize all the water again to make it shelf stable, because we want just 100% fat, no water in it, and then it's super stable fat, and you can keep it for really long. It will last for years in the jars. And
Talking about doing like double clarified tallows. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so this tallow that I think we're gonna make today is for eating, for like frying things in and putting it into stews or whatever. It's just a super healthy fat to eat. You could also use tallow for making skincare products, soap, these kind of things, because it's super healthy. It has lots of vitamin E, vitamin A, D, and K. Like basically E and K is the most, and the skin will absorb it as well. So it's super healthy to put it on your skin as well. But then you don't want to have a beef smell. So to get it odorless, we have to purify it and get all the impurities out. We would make the tallow, and then we put the finished tallow again in water. You could also do it in one step actually. And then we add quite a lot of salt and water, boil it up again for 1 or 2 hours. And the salt will suck out all the impurities and all the smell and everything.
This one, for example, a sheep one that's pretty clean, but it's still got a sheep taste.
Yeah.
So you would get rid of that taste by clarifying it again.
Yeah, and then you let it cool down with all the water, and then you have like a kind of a tallow bar in the top, and you take it out, and then you can just scrape the surface of the tallow that was on the water side. It's not salty at all, even that you add a lot of salt. The salt stays in the water. The fat is just completely white, pure fat, odorless, and you can use it for whatever. And it's also actually the better quality for cooking, the purified one, because you don't have all these little impurities from the meat pieces that you maybe still have on it. So it has even a higher smoke point when you purify it. Then it's like super high smoke point. It won't have any burned thingies in it.
What do you think about vegetable oils for cooking?
Not good at all.
So we've got a couple of crates of loose pack bones to get processed into stocks, and then we've bagged up a lot. Hard to vacuum pack bones, obviously you've got sharp edges, so it actually pierces the bags, but they're going into the freezer tomorrow. And a lot of crates of meat. This is a lot of mince, and then we've made stewing packs with really fatty meat. All of the cuts are labelled very nicely, so you know what you're getting when you take it out of the freezer. Lots of beautiful grass-fed fat, and that's my favourite bit. I eat a very fatty animal-based diet. That's enough food for 2 years at least, and bone broth every day. Cooking rice in bone broth, cooking stews, everything. Replacing water with bone broth, basically. And the kids love it too. Okay, some hours later, fat is rendering beautifully, and you can see that's a big old pot. That's a lot of bone broth, looking great. Lucky peeps. Out with the old. Okay, got the cow into the freezer. Next morning. Woo! A lot of fat coming up on that now.
That sheep.
Well, that's it for larger animals at the farm. All animals dispatched. 5 sheep today. We're taking off to co-process for sausage and things. Look at this beautiful grass. This is a shame we couldn't graze it all through actually. Then we'll mulch cut this to fertilise.
No problem when we have them in one leg.
But I still don't want one.
So, how long has that been boiling, Louise?
So that was 15 hours. I turned it off in the night because fat can get really, really hot. So you should always check every hour or something like this. And also stir, because the little chunks of fat are on the bottom now. And now we can put it through a sieve and then in the jars.
So what temperature, like what's important things about?
It's important that it doesn't get too hot, or else it would, get a burned taste. Because we didn't use water on it to have it easy now. The good thing about the fat is, like water just boils until or gets up to 100 degrees. The fat, I checked it a couple of times in between to have 120 degrees. It shouldn't go higher. And with the 120 degrees, there's no risk for any botulism bacteria. Like the bacteria die at 100 degrees, but the spores, they just die over 116 degrees. So it's actually super safe. But even if we have it in the jars, I'm gonna can the jars because we want to have it shelf stable for a long time, for 1 or 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And how about the bone broth? That's been going on
Yeah, the bone
same
broth
amount of time?
was actually even longer. That was
That's got a ½ inch of fat on top now.
a lot of fat. That's really nice. It's nice on the jars on the top when it has a layer of fat.
It seals
jar.
it a bit too, no?
Yeah, that's really nice.
So how long is that one
The
going to cook
bone
for?
broth was good 24 hours now. A bit more, 28 hours, because the bone broth I leave on overnight. Nothing bad can happen. Yeah. So we start with this. The pot is too heavy to pour it in, so I need this tool. It's a bit greasy, but too big amount.
There's more bone broth going on over here. Oi, 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 look at all that fat. So we buy jars from like a honey supplier or any old jar supplier. They come sterile. But then to can them, how are you canning them? You're boiling them for 15 minutes or so?
Yeah, I would do like with meaty things, usually you should can it
With the pressure.
120, yeah, under pressure. And if you don't have a pressure cooker, you should do at least 120 minutes at 100 degrees. But we just do this like 30 minutes at 100 degrees.
And it's basically fat. So
Because it's just fat, there shouldn't be any, like all the water evaporized. So actually there is no chance for any bacteria to grow in there because they need the water. So it's actually safe. The canning is just to get the little air that stays inside, also sterile, and yeah, to have it shape step. Because we can it, we can't fill it all up the way up till the top because it will boil inside when we have it in boiling water, and then it might go through the lid. So we always leave at least 1 centimeter.
when you buy a jar of tallow like this, what's grass-fed tallow cost? 10 euros
I
a
don't
jar?
know.
Something like that?
Probably. I never bought grass-fed tallow. I always made it myself.
Same with bone broth now. Like,
Bone broth
is really expensive.
Good
If you
bone
buy
broth is-
grass-fed jar like this, 750 ml,
Yeah, it's like
it's gonna be
8
like,
euros.
yeah. And off one cow, what are we gonna take off that? From one cow, you could get what? Bone broth wise, you can basically have bone broth every day for a year. Yeah.
Liquid gold. Looks super yummy. I turned it off a while ago, that the fat is not too hot when we put it in glass jars. They might break when it's super hot.
What do you do with the chunks that are left at the end?
You could eat them, put salt on them and eat them, or just feed it to the hens or something like this. It's basically leftover.
Alright, making sausage with sheep, with heart, liver, fat, kidneys. Very nice.
So if we make it like that, or what do you think?
Yeah, I always took this and this part.
Yeah, there and there.
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe like this.
It's the roast beef fransyska innanlår with little more. So, it's been okay?
Yeah.
crates of mince from sheep, some sloping bits. Gonna saw up cutlets. Getting there. Okay, bratwurst recipe, grams per kilo. It's quite low salt. Next one is garlic, then, white pepper and black pepper. They're interchangeable. Muscat is nutmeg, garlic, cumin is caraway seed, and you don't need any nitrates or anything if you don't want it. Yum 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 yum. Okay, 5 sheep. We've got 100 kilos of mince, 4 crates. We're going to do 4 different batches of sausages. Got some nice pieces from the legs for slow cooking. Now we're cutting all the cutlets out, as well as some fillets, etc. We're just going to use the saw to be quick, because we've got to get home to pick up the kids. It's going really good. Really like this rail system. It's very common in a slaughtery like this, but that's definitely something I want to have in the future. And I really like this detail that we saw, where you can lift this end bar so you can really pick up a heavy animal off the trailer. It's really good as you get older and have bad backs.
And now I test it because
Okay, plenty bone broth, constant pans on the boil, not losing any water there. All this beautiful grass-fed tallow. Look at that, all these beta carotenes making it yellow, and we've got more pots of bone broth on the go. All the bones that we've brought back are now in, and then we also have a huge amount of bones sawed up, marrow bones for roasting, as well as more bones to work on 2 weekly batches, so we've got a constant supply of this throughout the next whole year at least. A lot of food off a cow, and we've had 2 cows, 9 sheep, 25 turkeys and 150 odd broilers, so ample food supply. Last step in the process, this is bone broth.
This is bone broth,
And
yeah.
you cooked this a long time.
Yeah, 24 hours, but it was bones from that we already cooked 24 hours and new bones. So there's some bones in that cooked at least like 50 hours now.
So that gets full maximum mineral component.
Yeah.
And this is not salted, right? So
No,
you
it's
salt it
unsalted.
when you want
No.
to use it.
It's a few important things when you set up the bone broth. You should use really cold water with the bones, because when you use hot water, the, how do you say, pores and the proteins, they all stay in the bone. So if you want to get all the good stuff out, you should use cold water. And if you
Bring it up to the boil from cold.
yeah,
And
slowly
no salt.
heat it up. Yeah, slowly heat it up, and
Add vinegar.
vinegar is super important. Like now, we didn't have white wine vinegar. We used the Attica. This is like really strong vinegar, and no salt. That all the minerals come out. And I put bay leaves, black pepper, juniper, and these pepper. I don't know the English word for it.
Neither do I.
But this is optional. This is just for taste. And yeah, then we put it through a sieve, like this, because there's all the bones in. Like the bones changed a lot. Like you can see, they've been cooking for a long time, or not cooking actually. It's just like a simmer. I'll put this through here. Get out. And then I spread out the fat in the beginning, because the fat is always on the top.
You want that layer on the top to sort of seal it in. Look at that.
If you would pour everything in the first jar, you would end up with a jar full of fat. And then the liquid broth is coming. then after this,
Okay, jar's been canned in boiling water, so that's
At
going to
100
last a
degrees.
long time. Tallow. Bone broth.
yeah, that's the bone broth.
Ooh,
It's
yeah.
called.